Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Easy Spotlight podcast. We're joined by returning guest Taz. Now, Taz was the first guest on the show way back in 21, back in Nottingham, in the cold little coolest of my room that we had. But a lot has happened since then. We've had about 30, 45 minutes of technical issues trying to get on here. The quality's been questionable. I'm on a 70p camera for some reason, even though it's a MacBook. But we're going to prove that later. This thing's all about developing, getting better, and we're here. So Taz, how you doing today?
All good, thank you, mate. I've had a chill day so far. So, yeah, got a few tasks, jobs done, so I'm feeling good.
Good. Now, we've been burning so much time. You've got things to do. So I'm just going to jump in today, Taz, and we're going to get to it. So last time we finished this podcast, we were at the end of COVID. This was back in 21. You didn't have a shop then. So for people who have not listened, go back and listen to the first episode. To that point, you'd been first working in a couple of shops. Then you went on your own doing mobile barbering all across Nottingham, building your business, really looking toward starting your own thing or having your own shop. And the way you ended the last podcast was with these words, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but this is what you said. You think having a shop for me is going to bring me happiness. It's going to simplify my life. It's going to be one hub. Well, I hope it's going to be one hub that brings community. It's going to be just simple things like better lighting. I'm not going to be cutting with a headlamp torch on my head and trying to find the best place in someone's house. And I'm at the point now where I just really, really want it,
Mm-hmm.
So what you wanted, you went and got that shop for people in Nottingham. It's in the Meadows. It's a great corner spot. So tell me how getting that shop at first, if we just go back a year and a half now, what was getting that shop like when you first got it?
The feeling when I was, I look back at a picture where I was signing, actually, the lease, and I actually looked quite emotional. I don't know if it was maybe a bit of hay fever or what, but it looked like there was a bit of a tear in my eye. So, just knowing that I was starting that, the initiation of the shop, it was an overwhelming feeling, and it was just kind of like right, let's stamp my authority now and on this little corner shop right here.
Amazing. And since you've had it, so you've had it for a year and a half now, what's the experience been? Has it been what you thought it would be, or the same, different? Tell us a bit more about
that. Just coming back to how we ended that in the previous podcast, where I said it was going to bring me happiness and this and a community and a hub, and cutting hair will be a bit easier because I ain't got a head torch on. All them things are true. Maybe not the happiness so much, because it certainly put me in a happier place, I think. But the things that I said were definitely true, and I've created a community, I feel, within, because the Meadows, the area of Nottingham's it's got a very much community feel within it anyway. So I think when I joined on that corner shop there, the spot that I'm in, I've got friendly with a lot of the locals now and stuff, so it's very wholesome. And my previous clients that have been coming to me for years, it's very central to Nottingham, so it just feels right where I am. Happiness is hard to define, but yeah,
that's where I'm going to go, because you are a community hub, and we talked about this last time. Your personality is something that people gravitate toward too, and one, you can cut hair. That first and foremost, people are going to come back to you for that. But the other thing other people come back to you is for your personality, for the chat, for the banter, for whatever. You come into that place and you just feel more relaxed, right? And defining happiness, because you said there, I'm not sure if I've achieved happiness. I guess let's go back, because it's going to be hard, right? You're an entrepreneur. You're somebody who runs your own business. Owning, just because you have a shop doesn't mean it's suddenly going to be easy, right? You've got the challenges of more people coming in, different things. So if you're looking at happiness, do you think, let's try and define it. How do you think you're defining happiness? Do you think there is a goal, or do you think, because you as an everyday person are a happy person, you're very upbeat,
I think maybe my choice of words back then, I may not have thought. I feel like I might think a little bit more before saying something now. I don't know. Maybe happiness was the right word to say, because if that's how I was feeling, like I felt it was going to bring me happiness, then and so be it. But yeah, happiness, like you say, there's more challenges with it that come with it. I think maybe I was looking at happiness wrong. Like you say, it's not just like taking a pill, opening the shop, all of a sudden, oh, I'm happy now. But I do think that certain times that the job that I'm doing it does uplift me. Although I'm talking with people every day and I'm trying to kind of, help or guide or counsel or be there and listen to people. I also think it kind of that responsibility, although it can be quite like a lot, it can also lift me up as well, because I have to perform my whole lifestyle now. Really, I don't really drink much alcohol. I'm not bashing people that do. I just think that for the energy it might take out of me the next day and so forth. And I try to stay fit. It's hard. I'm getting injured, trying to play football and whatnot, or whatever I'm trying to do. But my whole lifestyle changed now. It's even, I feel like I'm even more on the ball with it. So yeah, happiness it's kind of like an emotional state, I guess. It's just something that's quite short lived, and I think I've kind of learnt that as well. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I love that the way you're kind of analyzing and reviewing it back. One, I think happiness is maybe just the way you're framing it, because I
Yeah.
believe that you know, your personality, as I've said before, the way you live your life is generally in a positive way anyway.
Hmm.
And owning a business is tough. And there's a few different points about what you just said that I want to pick off. So, firstly, what is something unexpected from owning the shop side of the business that you didn't expect when you first started out?
What's something unexpected? Just probably the challenges just day to day that you face, whether it's, I think maybe it's the tolerance of what has happened. I've kind of become accustomed to in a way, but whether it's the phone ringing, trying to text back during cutting hair, I try not to do it, and the personalities that you meet, the kids that you chat with, and I didn't actually think that the community that I would have kind of helped create, I didn't think it would be kind of as strong as it is. And I perhaps didn't expect to, because last year I was, things was going really well, and this still are going well, but I was cutting a lot of professional footballers here, and I perhaps didn't expect to be kind of so like in with them, if that makes sense. Some players moved on and went signed with different clubs, and ultimately, like, yeah, I think that's a big thing as well that I didn't really expect to happen, I guess.
Yeah, community is a never evolving thing, all right? And you're going to have times of ups and ebbs and flows
Yeah.
of your business, right? But I think the one thing that stays core is your central,
Hmm.
especially you having that shop. It's that location that people can always refer to and go back to, you know. And I think you having that place now and thing that people can walk in, because the nicest thing about a shop compared to your mobile thing is that even when I'm back just for the short period of time, I go in and I bump into someone, you know,
Hmm.
and we have a conversation with the person who's in the chair before me, in the chair after me,
Yeah.
you know, and that is something that you've created, you know.
Hmm.
Is that something you're seeing that other more than the
No,
mobile barbering?
definitely. I had two guys in recently that hadn't probably seen each other from back in the summertime, and they've got a. I don't think they. It was nice, and it was quite pleasant to hear them two talking with each other, because the last time they had bumped into each other was at the barber shop.
Mm.
So it was almost like, if it hadn't been for the shop, maybe they, what I mean, they wouldn't have had that conversation. It was just really nice to listen to. And it kind of, yeah, it's just things like that I really liked. They kind of seem small, but they're just things over the course of a day that really add up and can almost, when you reflect on the whole day, you think, yeah, that was cool, or that just adds more to your day. I think bit more substance, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, we talked last time about the impact you have and the profession of barbering being such like a central pillar
Mm-hmm.
to a community, and I think you take that responsibility like quite seriously, and I think you do really well with it. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to shift it a little bit here, because another thing you mentioned there is kind of the way you live your life, and I really like the way you approach it, and I think if people listen to the last one and people who know you will see your evolution. You know, you take this seriously. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like this. You are a professional barber, and that doesn't mean I just get good at cutting hair. It means I get better at being a business person, a better
Mm-hmm.
person, because it's going to impact every piece of the life. And one
Yeah.
thing that we said when you first were looking back was that you didn't know you wanted to go into barbering. Your mum kind of inspired you. You went to barbering school, and then your
Mm-hmm.
passion developed as you started doing it.
Yeah.
I think that was important for people to hear, that you don't just have to have it before you start doing it. So how has that passion continued to evolve, and how are you continuing to view the professionalism of barbering?
I think you're very. It's nice to hear that. Firstly, what you them words that you just said about myself. That's nice to hear. It's nice that it's acknowledged. I think, and I know I mentioned a minute ago about cutting professionals, and it's not the end all, and you know what I mean. It's not, doesn't measure success, but the way it is becomes a kind of, you kind of set the mark a little bit in terms of your clients become a reflection of yourself. When it kind of got to, when I was cutting professionals of different kind of trades as well, whatever they were doing in all walks of life, it's quite nice to reflect on it and think, well, I must be doing something right myself. I must have that. Their approach must be very similar to my approach towards life. In terms of just outlook, how they might value their time, things like that. So, not that I don't want to divert too much, coming back to what you said, but I think in terms of staying motivated or staying, what was the word you used? Maybe like inspired. It's
Just your view on, because you take it seriously. You always talk about, you say fitter. You're not drinking as much. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about how can I do a better job for my clients all the time, and your passion for it, got stronger as
yeah.
you kept doing it. Has that continued to happen, or do you think it's plateaued, or do you think the more you do it, you keep getting more passionate about it?
I think it may plateau a bit. I think for a lot of people, if whatever you're doing repetitively week in, week out, or if you're doing too much of it, you can burn out. So when you take short breaks, because I don't tend to take in the last 2 years, I've probably took 3 weeks total of holiday. So every now and again, just, I think it's spending time on myself. If it's, whether it's turn the phone on do not disturb and go for a walk in the countryside or whatever, little things like that where you get a complete break from your phone for the day. Because obviously I run my business pretty much through my phone. I use a booking app, Booksy. Everyone, if you haven't got Booksy, get Booksy. Not being paid to say that either. Not that they'd probably need my advertisement, but I think it's spending time on myself can kind of keep me passionate about my job, because if ultimately, like I said, or like I've said to you before, that if all I'm doing is working, it's just one way to burn out. If I'm not spending social time, in terms of, even though my job's very social, it's a job as well. So I mean, downtime with my own friends and family is really important, or staying in the gym, spending time to myself, having a hot bath, putting the Epsom salts in, all that good stuff, lighting the candles. Yeah, just little things that you have to. And I think that's how you can stay passionate about it, because you can plateau or you can burn out. And Yeah.
I think that's something that shines through in what you do. You're dedicated, and I think sometimes that comes to the point of detriment a little bit. As you said, 3 weeks and 2 years. It's not a lot of time, but you're your own business. If you don't work, no money is coming in.
Yeah.
And so you have to, I guess, over time, you're going to learn the ways that works for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're putting. I imagine you're still struggling to say no. Is that a case, or have you got better at that? When when people are doing those last minute calls, and for people who don't know, Booksy just means he's got an online booking app, as opposed to everyone messaging him Instagram message.
Yeah.
I've got the most urgent haircut in the world. It's he's got some organisation in his life a little bit, and so
Yeah.
How does that help?
Everyone's haircut is the most important haircut, isn't it? Like, oh, I've got this thing that's so important tonight, and I forgot to message. I forgot to book in last week. I still do struggle to say no, but I have got better at it. And I mean, just the other night, I've just recently, because the Masters was on, by the way, the snooker. Ronnie O'Sullivan's won another title. He's just amazing, by the way, unbelievable,
incredible.
And when you listen to him talk and what goes through his mind, it's just fascinating. That the pressure that can come on yourself or from friends and family, or that it don't even necessarily, but you think it does. So it's like you feel it. But yeah, just I don't know. I feel I'm in the snooker hall trying to play, and my phone's pinging off, and it starts to take my focus, and it's, oh, can you get my lad in this week? And I had to just be very blunt and honest with the client and say, look, I didn't probably need to go into it. I just said, look, I'm at the snooker hall trying to thing, and just can you book in using this for the future? Because with certain customers, like I've got an old boy who pops his head in, who's probably about 70, 80 years old. He's probably not going to get on Booksy and start booking in through that. So sometimes you kind of make exceptions for people, but then an exception for one or two can end up becoming 9 or 10 or more. And it's like time that I haven't got, because if there's other things that I need to do or get on with, I just frankly can't.
Yeah, it quickly builds up if you don't kind of draw the line. But
yeah,
I'm sure it's helped your life, and you're drawing that line for sure. And you talk about snooker and or other kind of influences, being so busy, always working, always like grinding, getting the next haircut down, making sure everything's going well. Where are you able still to kind of find time to, say, learn, make sure that you're still developing, make sure that your head's not always in it? Where are you getting influences from? Maybe in the barbering community, like how do you stay on top of new things, or continue to evolve yourself? Where does that come from?
I guess that comes from not being, like you say, it's a lot of work a lot of the time going on here. And I think one reason I've drawn so much to, even I've only gone and played snooker a couple of times, but I think you have to have these little things that can kind of pull you away from work, that you can really kind of get lost in, so that when you end up going back, I think that just talking with you now, it's really, although I've thought about it a little bit the last couple of days, it's making even more sense now that I'm saying it, that the fact that I've kind of become obsessed with snooker again. Even though I'm not very good at playing, but it's almost something that's just so different from work, that you're just locked in. It's something that takes you complete concentration and focus to play. I'm watching, podcasts with Ronnie on or Stephen Hendry, and I'm listening to these people and trying to just dive into their life and listen to what's going through their heads, because it's just kind of refreshing to hear, it would have obviously always been like football related things that I would have gone to, but I just feel now it's kind of something that a lot different to football, but still a sport, or it's a game. No, it is a sport.
It's having that thing that pulls you out of it, that thing that allows you to relax. It can be whatever it is, I guess. But for you, that snooker is like, okay, I'm focused right now on snooker. I'm now no longer thinking about barbering, because my mind is here. And maybe that's what you need when you're in such a high demand, always kind of brain churning job, is something else that kind of can replace that. For my American friends who have no idea what snooker is, Google it. It's a better game than pool,
Yeah,
and
it's
it might
so
it might
difficult.
open your world a bit.
Yeah, it's so difficult, but we'll get
So
there.
going back to the shop a little bit, you got the shop. It's a nice little small space. It's got 2 chairs in there. It's just been you though. And I know you've had thoughts about growing it. What are some of the challenges when you think forward? There's challenges of trying to keep your business up, with just the kind of clients you want. There's challenges, I'm sure, from every different aspect. There's challenges in growing. Do you feel when you look forward to the future, I need to grow it, or do you feel I need to, get myself more comfortable in this area? Like when you look forward, where do you kind of see it going for you?
This has kind of been a few people have mentioned also about getting another barber in the shop, and that would seem the most logical kind of next step. And it has kind of been in my head for a while now. But I think what it is I know I think every barber that has their own shop that works alone would probably be thinking the same, that if they come to work, they get the job done, they're not letting people down. People are booking in with you. They can rely on you. You bring another barber into the equation, it would be obviously another person to manage, which could bring more out of me. But it's also not to be negative thinking, but there's also becomes that reliance on them. Then I think is the space that I'm in, like, is it appropriate for 2 barbers? And ultimately, every time that it goes round and round, and then I write pros and cons down, I always just stay with being alone. But I think in terms of growth, getting another barber would be the next step. But there's a few things happening at the minute with my shop, which kind of leaves a little bit of a question mark on whether I'm going to be actually staying there or not, which is kind of sounds even shocking to myself when I say it. But I'm looking forward.
There's a lot of stresses to owning your business, I think.
There is.
But also, I think what you just said there, I think anybody in any line of work can relate to, whether it's you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business, or you work for someone and you're a manager of people. It's that thing of, I know I can do the job, but if I then have someone underneath me, how much am I able to let go? How much am I able to delegate? And where can I improve them? Because ultimately, they're going to be a reflection of you. They're coming into Taz's shop, oh, this person works for Ryan, or whatever the scenario is. And that person is a reflection of you. So you're going to feel this thing where I know I uphold such a good quality, a good service. Is this person going to be able to do it for me? And I think that's scary at first, right? And I think that's what, everybody must go through, and you're going through at some time. It's how can we get to the next step, and how can we manage and essentially get them to be the next Taz, so that
Yeah.
can take some pressure off you, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe an element of being a bit wanting to, perhaps a bit too much control. Maybe I need to learn to just let go a bit. Letting go is probably the right thing to say. Yeah, because maybe wanting to always be in constant control is perhaps not the healthiest thing, but for longevity, it's probably the most logical, because I did hear before I was watching a YouTube video. It said if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go in a team. And yeah, I think that the day will come where either I move space and I have to get into a bigger spot, because I'm in such two minds that I mean, also at the moment when I work and I cut people's hair, it's very, what's the word, like intimate. It's very not 1v1, it's one-on-one, and it's it there is certainly a barbershop vibe in there as well when people are passing by and popping their heads in, and one client goes over to the next. But yeah, I think if I want to get another barber in there, I have to change things in there. First of all, by layout, because where the chair is situated right now, it won't really work. And I don't know if it's maybe another excuse I look at, but I cut in that shop, and I'm used to the layout and whatnot, and the lighting, because the sun, I get the sun all day, which is nice. And I've learned how to cut with that, and I've not really perhaps, truth be told, it's having someone that I trust and know to come in and work beside me, that I know they can deliver. And yeah, I've not
See,
found it. I've not found it yet. I've had conversations with people and they've not gone. It's not progressed, and
I love
it's
your honesty though,
yeah.
right? So
That's the honest truth. I can't really beat. I can't. I don't want to go around the houses, but yeah, as they say, that's the
no,
truth. Really.
and that is what a lot of people will feel, right? That is something that people can relate to and people really can understand. And we, as hopefully in my easy community that we're creating here, we can help each other kind of figure out the ways. And I'm learning from you and being an entrepreneur, and you having your own shop, and I'm learning from other people who are doing things, and we can pick from each other about what are the best ways that we can grow sustainably. What's the best ways that we can grow and not kill ourselves? How do we trust other people and develop them to be better? But
Mhm.
we're going to wrap this up a little bit. I want to just take a moment just from the last year and a half since we last did, or 2 years ago since we last did the podcast. You've come a long way. You've done a lot. You've opened a shop. You've cut half the blooming. The whole Forest team was on. Your haircuts. A lot of people have seen them, even if they don't think they know they have. I know even in America they watch that game. That's a Taz haircut. And in Nottingham, you're always a part of the community. So, what have been some of the wins for you over the last year and a half? What are some things that stick out to you as good moments?
So some of the best things I can say is working on a Saturday, being in control, where I can actually say no because I've arranged to go watch Forest at home at the city ground, 5 minute walk away, where I say no, I'm finishing at 2:30, and I'm literally cleaning up, and I'm walking across Trent Bridge, and I'm going to be at the city ground in less than 5 minutes, and watching the Reds. That's a highlight. That's a huge highlight. Um, and the community that I've got, and that within my shop space and the kind of surrounding area, that's a massive win for me. A massive, when I reflect on it and I see people chatting and coming in, and the kids telling me about how the day is, and oh, you cut Mr. Such and Such's hair, and oh, Mr. said, oh, you play football with him, and they're just some of the wins. And then yeah.
I love that. That is everything I can imagine about how I would want a community to be, is how you kind of explain it, and what you're living it through. And I think you are an example to people to kind of work towards something, to be dedicated towards something. It's not always going to be easy.
Mhm.
We've got to define happiness, as we said at the start of this, for ourselves, and find that balance. And being an entrepreneur isn't simple, and trying to continue to evolve. But I think being able to reflect, being able to go and play snooker sometimes, being able to step back and continue to evolve, we will grow and we will get there. And so with that, I'm going to finish. I'm going to thank you, Taz. Another 2 years will pass by. I'm sure you'll be somewhere else,
Mhm.
and you'll continue to get better. But I'm inspired by you. I continue to look up to you. So I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, mate. Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate it all. Keep it easy.